And we are live. We are live. Alafia Mandala, Baby Fahudie. It's your favorite warrior, Blak Pantha in the building once again on the Isheshe interview series with my comrade and Baba Ode, father of hunters, Ogundiran. What's going on, brother? How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well this evening. What about yourself?
Oh, everything is good. It's all good. It's all great. Book Bodara. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell so you'll always be notified when the Mossi Warrior Clan channel is broadcasting. It is sporadic. I will let you know that right now between me, Shawn, Kofi, and whoever else wants to use the channel. So, hit that bell so you can stay tuned to all of our broadcasts. Give me 1 second when some people are asked to be invited. So I am inviting those people. How's the weather over there, Baba? Y'all getting some rain?
Oh no. Yesterday and the day before that, I guess we had that tropical storm come through. It's pretty nice outside actually. The sun's getting ready to set right now. Got kids at the park.
Awesome. That's cool. Well, no need of delaying what's going on. I'm sure everybody will trickle in, but for those of you that are listening, we're going over scams, schemes, and terminology from an Isheshe perspective. There's a lot of things going on in the Orisa community that we felt like that we should give a discussion towards. And at the top of the list, we will start talking about Eshu Ija or Eshu Aseta. Baba, what are your thoughts on these particular things being made and sold out of Nigeria right
now? Well, it really depends on whether they're actually Eshu Ija, Eshu Ashetas, or Eshu Iranshes. Typically, you're looking at those type of issues that typically are used for fighting or used for some type of defense. I have really no issue with them as long as they're made correctly from an Isheshe point of view. And there's not an exact one way. There's several ways to make these things, but as long as they're done through a traditional perspective,
What's the current problem that you see? Are they not being made from a traditional perspective, or what's going on?
Well, the current problem that I have seen up on the internet is they are using an Nkesi Nkosi, or using the design of Nkesi Nkosi from the Congo, and kind of having wood carvers kind of model them after them, and then trying to sell this off as some type of fighting Eshu. Is what I typically see. I've even seen this carry as far as getting a statue of Eshu made and then driving a bunch of nails into it.
So for those that are not familiar with the Nkisi from the Congo, it's a part of their spiritual system found in spiritual systems called Leba or Kempasi, in which they use Nkisis. Nkisis are they're basically used for various works in the Congolese traditions. And what is happening and what Ogundiran is alluding to is the Nkisi in Kondi are being used in parts of southwestern Nigeria to masquerade as what would be called Eshu Ija or Eshu Aseta. And people are getting scammed. People are getting taken advantage of because they don't know the difference. They don't know the questions to ask. So I'm going to show a picture of Eshu. I'm sorry, of a Inkisi Nkonde or Nkondi, and you're going to be able to see. So for everyone seeing this right now, this is an Inkisi Nkondi. This comes out of the Congo. This is not out of the Sheshe tradition. Notice the nails and the spikes driven into his skin for spiritual purposes. This is what people are modifying to meet needs in order to sell them. Now I'm going to show you a picture of what's currently being promoted in parts of Nigeria. And you can see how this is totally different. And this is, nails being driven in, carvings to represent or try to represent and actually misrepresenting, a form of Eshu. I believe that they tried to pass this off as an Eshu Ija. They even pour palm oil over
it. Typically, when they do this, it's going to be any type of like fighting issue or any issue that is used to any type of like defensive work or offensive work. They will try to use these. And one thing, the picture that you showed beforehand, typically they do it with the ones that have the spear in the hand. I've actually never seen one without a spear in their hand, as far as what they're trying to pass off as an Eshu Ija or an Eshu Asheta, or even sometimes like an Eshu Iranche.
Right. So let me also share another picture so you'll have a full range of what's going on. As you can see, the one on the right with the nails in it, and you can even see from the title here, it's Eshu. They're passing off as a Eshu Aseta, and you can see a spear here as well. So this is some of the scam work coming out of southwestern Nigeria, unfortunately. And as Baba Ogundiran was saying earlier, these are not Eshus at all. They are trying to pass them off as such, but you can see the Inkisi, reference as you can see the nails in the carvings. So unfortunately, that's one of the things that people don't know about, that you can get scammed in, unfortunately. And we had to bring that to the people's attention because unfortunately that's what happens. Baba, can you also tell us about the Shigedi scam that's going on?
Yes. So the Shigedis are often, if it's not portrayed as an Eshu Ija, or Eshu Asheta or Eshu Iranche, they'll try to pass off these same things as Shigedis. Now, Shigedi is a clay effigy. So if it's not made from clay, that's a huge red flag. So Shigedis are clay effigies that are typically, it's from the torso up, or it could be the whole body. Just depends on what type of Shigedi it is. There are different types of medical work, or they're made for different purposes. But a lot of people try to pass them off using also the Shigedi. I mean, using also as trying to use the Shigedi as an Eshu Iransho or an Eshu Ija or Eshu Asheta. But the biggest thing to look for is if it's not made of clay, it's not a Shigedi.
And can you explain for the people why why there's so many Eshus and why they come in with these different names?
Well, Eshu himself seems to be a very unique divinity when it comes to this, at least from my experience. Typically, the standard Eshus that come or that are given are mainly used for worship. They really don't have Like you can't fight with them. You can't like send them on errands. These are typically roads of Eshu that are made for particular purposes, and there's a number of them. You have like Eshu Awure, which is like a good fortune type of Eshu. You have Eshu Ebo, which is used for the process of Ebo. You have Eshu Iranche, which literally means like a messenger Eshu, but it's like an errand running Eshu. You have Eshu Asheta, which is used for defense work. I believe it's called what is it, a papita? I might be pronouncing that wrong. Is another type of Eshu that is used to turn around misfortune. So there is, and that's like a guard. So there is a lot of them. And that's only a few. We also have like Eshu Alaje, which is a money drawing Eshu. So there is a lot of different types of Eshus, but they're considered roads and made for particular purposes. They're not really made for worship. Some of them are because they have like a dual action to them. Some of them are made for just particular purposes, and they're made for that purpose. So
Awesome.
like
Awesome.
if you have like if you have a like an Eshu Idanche, which is like an errand running Eshu, you use it with different spiritual work, and it's only for that purpose. You don't really worship that, just like an Eshu Ijah is used for fighting. You don't really worship that type of Eshu. That's what the normal Eshus are for.
Awesome. So want to shout out some people in the chat currently. Peace, sister Anusha. I hope I said that right. Peace, brother Zane. Peace, brother Ron. Sister Benita. Brother Infinite Mind. Sister Juju. Brother Sutek with Niger Valley Civilization, whose logo is actually Eshu. His logo for his chat for his channel is actually Eshu. I believe it's Eshu Odara. Brother Kofi, peace, brother. I don't know if this is a brother or sister, but Tricidia. Peace to you as well. Okay, so we'll move on. I wanted to show.
Oh, just for a second, since you mentioned it, Eshu Odara is not a road. It's more of an Oriki for Eshu that is commonly mentioned with people that practice Ifa. So sometimes it will be very hard to tell what between is a road and what is actually an Oriki. That will just come with training and the people that you are involved with. But not every thing that you hear after Eshu's name will apply a road of an Eshu.
Got it. Okay. So let's show some Shigedis and let's show what they are, what some people are promoting in different places as scams. So let me pull it up here. So this is what people are promoting as Shigedis. Again, you see the nails, you see the Nkisi influence. Again, people are trying to pass off Congolese art as Orisha art. And, for whatever reason, this trend is growing, and it's something that, we can't ignore as practitioners. But let me show you what a actual Nkisi looks like.
Oh, you mean a Shigedi?
They got me saying an actual Shigedi looks like. This is a Shigedi, as Baba Ogundiran says. It's a clay effigy. So again, if it's not made out of clay and they claim it to be a Shigedi, it's not a Shigedi. Let me show another one.
Yeah, there are various types.
This one, I think the clay is still a little wet, but it is a Shigedi as well. And now that I'm looking at it, it's probably Odu marked in it with the shells.
Yeah. Some Ifa verses have preparations for different types of Shigedi.
Interesting. So that makes sense. Let's show one more. and this is another one. So the common theme is they're made out of clay. Shigedis are made out of clay. Do not get scammed. Do not let someone show you a Shigedi or an Eshu with nails in it and try to, get you to pay crazy amounts of money because they say that they're, valuable or whatever. So that's the purpose of this show. Don't get scammed, folks. There's a lot out there, but if you want things a certain way, my line's always open. You can ask me questions. You ask Ogundiran questions. So that's the purpose of this show. Before we go any further, nobody asked me about my hat. This is a one of one. Don't ask me about this hat. my inbox on Instagram. No, this is a one-on-one. I designed this hat. They sent me this hat. That's it. And I know Kofi is over there already hating. So no, you can't get this hat. This is a one-on-one. Before we go any further. Oh, and before we go any further, shouts out to brother Okunfo, the king of clothing. Go shop with my boy, man. Got some fire pieces over there. Okay, moving forward. Baba, can you talk about the Eleke ceremony in Nigeria and how it started to become, popularized in Nigeria?
Well, one, there is no Eleke ceremony in Nigeria. This actually comes from the Cuban tradition of where you would receive, I believe at one time it was originally 4. Then the most popular is 5. Nowadays, I've seen people receive up to 9 Elekes. So even the tradition that first started off in Cuba is starting to change and morph as it continues to run through North America and losing even a lot of its own elements that were originally from the Cuban tradition. It seems a growing trend that I have seen that a lot of priests in Nigeria are actually starting to give out like bunches of Elekes at one time. They'll give out 5 or 7 or 9. You normally see pictures of them laying all out. Sometimes they'll have the corresponding bracelets as well with them. You'll see all the herbs laid out. This is something that's being adapted there. It's not part of their cultural context. It was never there. I think it's more the idea that a lot of what happens is they will catch on to what people are doing here, and within the United States, particularly within the United States, you find a lot of influences from the Riyadh Ocha tradition. And the Eleke ceremony is a very big one. It's used as an entrance ceremony to a house. In as far as its original usage. Of course, they also serve as protection from Riyadh Ocha, but in Isheshe, they're not there. At least not in the way that it's presented with all these Elekes and you receive all these Elekes at one time. Elekes there are more of insignias that identify a worshiper of a particular divinity. This is why you don't see a lot of Isheshe people wearing a whole lot of necklaces, because typically if they wear a necklace, it's going to be associated with an Orisa they particularly worship. So though there are some there's always exceptions to every rule. Like Babalaos can wear any type of necklaces. And then a lot of days with a lot of trends that are going on, you find a lot of people mass producing necklaces there and making different combinations. So it's kind of, in my opinion, I don't like it. There was once a time where Elekes looked like Elekes. Now they're kind of, in my opinion, looking like costume jewelry. All types of charms and crystals and rhinestones. It's just, to me personally, it's getting out of hand. But that's just my opinion. But as far as the ceremony itself, where you are bathed and you receive 4 to 5 Elekes, they typically are Eshu, Shango, Yemonja, Obatala, and Ashun. And there's like I said, this is an entrance ceremony. It's actually based off the Catholic baptism. So you're actually entering into a house. This is why they actually call it an initiation, because you're actually entering or initiating into the tradition of Regal de Ocha.
Absolutely. And that's an important piece for people that do not know that. And I put what Brother Niger Valley Civilization, Brother Sutek, put down here for a reason. They're going to give people what they want. If you go to most places in Nigeria and tell them, I want my Elekes, I want my, warriors, they not going to tell you that they don't do that. They just going to give you what you want. It takes somebody else, that's really strict and has integrity to tell you, no, I don't do that. But for the most part, there are going to be some people that say, okay, and they're not going to correct you. So that's why it's important to study and know exactly, what tradition you want to practice.
That actually segue into another thing. So I've found through my own research and just going through the internet that there are some people in Nigeria that will do things even if you do not ask, just because of what is popular here. They won't necessarily make any or say anything about it. One of the things I have found is here in North America, and this might be throughout the diaspora, not here, but particularly in North America, we have this thing about blood, and everything should be drenched in blood, and blood is powerful. And it's just taken to extremes that are, at least in my opinion, are ridiculous. And there are some things that they do there that don't make any sense when they drape it in blood. There are some Orisha that are not supposed to be draped in blood. They're very clean divinities and have to remain somewhat immaculate because of what they attract. So just like the Eleke thing, it's what they're kind of catering to us without really telling us, oh, this is not exactly what we do here in our continent, but this is what y'all do, so we're going to give it to you whether you ask it for it or not. I'm not saying that's everybody there, but I have found quite a few people on the internet doing this, advertising it, and it's something that people here need to be aware of. They will do things. I've even seen a Cuban-styled Ogun done in Nigeria. Where they actually have the cauldron, except the tools are a little bigger. They actually had a blacksmith make larger tools, but it's done within a Cuban fashion. At least in Isheshe, Ogun doesn't go inside of a receptacle. So, it's, and I'm sure this person didn't say anything. But then on top of that, you do have people that ask for certain things. And, they're willing to oblige a lot of times, what you ask for. Because in the end, a lot of it, it comes down to money, unfortunately.
To answer your question, Brother Zane, yes, we're talking about bloods of animals. I have to ask you this question before we go forward. So how do you spell Eleke?
Oh, it's not spelled with an E. I'll say that. There's a lot of people that are spelling it with an E. It's actually spelled with an I. Particularly the rest of the word is spelled correctly, but it is spelled with an I. It's Ileke.
Yes, it's Eleke. It's spelled,
and I believe it's a dot under both of the E's, and I think it's all low tones, if my memory serves me correctly.
I have no idea what the tones are on Eleke. I have to look that up.
I think it's all low.
But yeah, Eleke is spelled with an I. When you see it with the E, that's more likely, the Spanish, version or Spanish influence, where people put the E's. Hold on. Somebody's in here. Okay. I'm gonna put this up so you can see it.
What about this short?
Try to sneak in here.
Greetings, Oloye. So the Cuban styled Osun. This is well, first of all, let's start with this. It's Osun and has nothing to do with Oshun, as I've seen a lot of people associate that object. It's a small object. It's about, I don't know, about 6, 8 inches high, has a rooster on top of it with bells. This is the Osun they give out in the Cuban system of Regal de Ocha. It is typically given out when you receive what they call the warriors, which is another thing that isn't in Isheshe. There's no such things of warriors in Isheshe. But it's supposed to represent the Osuni Fa. But from my knowledge and my understanding, it's actually crossed between the Osuni Fa and sometimes has something associated with Osan, at least from my studying. But it's been a long time since I've really looked into that. But that small rooster is something that's part of the Cuban tradition. And like I said, it's normally received with the warriors, and it has nothing to do with Isheshe. Though we have seen pictures in Nigeria now of the tiny Osun on shrines now. So they have kind of adapted this object. I've also seen the issues they use in Brazil, which are typically the small devil statues of various different types. I've also seen this also in shrines in Nigeria as well.
Mm-hmm. So let me just show some pictures since give me 1 second because I want people to see what exactly we mean when we is talking about these Osun. So this is the Osun that comes out of the Cuban tradition. As you see the jingle bells and the rooster on top, they're miniature. You might be taught to put it at a high place in your house and not let it tip over. So this is coming out of the Cuban tradition. And go ahead.
There's also a load placed inside of it. The rooster can come off. It's a screw.
Explain
And
what
that
load is, Baba.
a load within the Cuban system is like the spiritual content of it. They put loads into Olshuns, to Olsuns. I got me saying it. Into the Olsun, so the rooster can actually come off, and there's a top piece where the bells are connected to, and that lifts up, and they put a load or the spiritual packing inside of there. Then they close it back up and twist the rooster back on. This is also done with the Cuban style. What we call leguas there, except they have a load and they'll form the cement around the load. This is not the way it's done within Isheshe at all. Even when they make, in some regions, the legbara, in some regions it's an indoor issue. They don't have a load inside of them, though these are also made of clay. But there's other ingredients that have been placed within the clay, maybe grounded, maybe powderized, that are mixed in with it, along with very other objects that might go like a parrot feather, or some type of feather on top, or some type of blade that comes out the top, and of course with the cowrie shells and cowrie eyes. I believe this is actually where they got the influence from the Elegua, for the Eleguas in the Cuban system, with the cowrie shells and cowrie eyes. Also, their influence is probably highly associated with the Dahomey, as well as their Papa Legba very much looks like a lot of the Cuban styles issue as well.
Yeah, they do. So you see the question on the screen, because I hear that question a lot.
Is the process of the rooster that Ultra came to Earth with? If you're referring to the creation story, I don't believe it was a rooster. It was a five-toed hen.
But a lot of literature says rooster for some reason today. So I understand why he asked that question.
Now, I will say there is a staff, I think it's in Ile Ife, that does depict what looks like a rooster on top of it. So I'm not quite sure what that staff represents. I'm not very versed in Oduduwa.
You mean his statue Oduduwa, where he has that the one in Ile Ife?
Yeah, the big wooden carving
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
see.
because I know that I think that's a rooster on that. But like I said, I don't know very much about Oduduwa to really speak on that. But from the creation story, it's a five-toed hen.
So let me show people what the Isheshe version of that staff looks like.
Oh, it's much taller.
And it's that. Here's one. Here's one made. And yes, like Baba Ogundiran said, it's much taller. It is a Opa Ifa, Osun Ifa, a Babalawo's walking stick. So you will see it's very long, and you can't just put this at a high place in your house. It would actually go outside of your house, mostly by the front door to guard the awo or babalawo inside. So that is a big difference. You wanted to say something else, Baba?
Yeah, they can also be put on the back patio. I've also seen a lot stuck, depending on how you have your, if you have an Ogun and how the Ogun is set up. And I've also seen a lot of them placed with the Ogun and sometimes the shoes that are outside. They run about 52 inches tall, maybe a little taller.
Hmm.
So just to give you an idea of how tall they are, where, like I said, the Osun from the Regal de Ocha can't be no more than 6 inches. Maybe 8 at best. It's definitely not a walking staff.
Yeah, you can't walk with the Cuban one, not at all. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here, Baba.
Mhm. Yes.
And I'm gonna ask you to not define, but just say what these are. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're back to the share. Take that off.
I'm almost afraid now.
Don't be afraid. What would you call these, Baba?
Okay. Now I know why you asked me. Okay, so this really depends on how you want to look at these. So most people would call these ilekes, but ilekes mean beads. So it's not wrong, but they also can be called ide, which most people here in the diaspora will take ide as a bracelet. But the word can actually mean bracelet, necklace, or anklet.
Mm.
So if someone says, "Where's your ide?" It's not necessarily talking about a bracelet. Where a lot of people refer to their ide, it has to do with uh, what their with the Ifa bracelet is where you hear most of it.
Right.
And just as a side note, each one of those necklaces actually has a name that
Mm-hmm.
goes along with the necklace itself. So to say
Absolutely.
ide is kind of generic, or to say Eleke is kind of generic. But they each have their own name.
Yes, that's true. That's awesome. Okay, so you mentioned earlier the Cuban style ogun that some people are starting to adopt in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put up some more pictures so
Uh,
you guys will be able to see what we are talking about. So, briefly, can you talk about this picture right here?
this is the typical. Forgive me for those who speak Spanish. Guerreros, which is Spanish for warriors. And like I was saying, this is the Legua, which is they're all labeled. The Osun on the left, and the Ogun and Oshosi, that the Ofa or the bow and arrow that is actually inside the pot or the cauldron for Ogun in the Cuban system. Typically, I think there's 9 tools that are given out, and the bow and arrow is one of them. There'll be like a miniature anvil, a miniature hammer, a miniature machete, I think a rake, a shovel, some type of small pry bar. I've lost count at this point. But they're typically miniature tools that are placed inside of an iron cauldron. So this type of elegua will have a load in it, or supposed to, which they have wrapped the cement around and molded the head. Matter of fact, if you go to a lot of botanicas and buy like an issue there, you'll notice that there's a hole in the bottom of it. This is where they actually put the load inside the issue, and then they cover that hole with cement, and then they do all the ritual work that they need to do to it. But this is what typically you would receive as the warrior ceremony from Regal de Ocha. Now, if you were getting it from a santero or santera, the Osun typically would not be present. That is just given out with the Babalao, at least in Regal de Ocha.
Okay.
But yes,
so now let's show you guys a picture. Oops, not video file. Let's show you guys a picture of an Ogun shrine. Since you've now seen the Cuban version, let's show you the Isheshe version.
Oh, the implements. Got it.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So I'm not going to get in deeply, but yes, these are the implements that are typically given out with Ogun. Now, this is not across the board everywhere in Nigeria, but there are a lot of places that this is what you will see as far as what they give out, particularly the two staves, the stone. There's a piece of yangi right there on your right next to the what looks like a pair of pliers, or what they would consider tongs for blacksmithing, which represents a shoe. Now, you will definitely receive a chain. Typically comes with it. The tongs, the hoe blade, and the traditional hammer. These tools may change. They're not really consistent. Typically, that I've seen is typically the two pillars, the two stones, a chain, and an iron ofa or bow and arrow. But it can be typically the chain is given with it as a part of the complement.
Awesome.
But these are typically what's given out, or sometimes, like I said, the iron implements. The staffs will always be there. The stones will always be there. The chain is typically there, but some of the other iron implements may be there, may not be there, depending on the person who's giving it out. Also, depending on how much that you pay for it, because typically extra items made by a blacksmith is going to cost you more. You know.
And where are these items put? Are they put in a pot, or where are they put in?
Okay, good question. So the two pillars are typically stuck in the ground, though you may see them with like a plate on the bottom of it sometimes. This is more to help it stand up. A lot of times they're not put on their level, so very rarely have I ever seen one with a plate actually stand up straight. But typically they're stuck in the ground. And the stone is also placed on the ground. So is the yangi and the other iron objects. They're all placed in very close proximity of each other. The yangi may be a little further apart from it, but not so. It may be 5 or 4 inches, maybe 6 inches at best, away from the other items, such as the stone, the two pillars that are stuck in the ground, and even the metal objects. Sometimes the stone may be pressed in the ground as well, not just laid in the ground. So it's kind of stable. But the stone will act as kind of like a focal point for Ogun.
Understood. All right. Let's take this away. Now let's put up this picture and talk to me about the word on.
Oh, you're not going to put that picture up, are you? I think I know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. You're talking about the fisherman?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. The word dilogun. So within the tradition of Regal de Ocha, this word, they use this word. And paying respect to that tradition. For them to use it is fine. It's part of their tradition. It's what they use. But if we want to go to Nisheshe point of view, or even better yet, a language point of view, this word makes no sense. It's like saying 20 minus. So they're referring to the seashell divination, which is typically you would say erindilogun or owomerindilogun, which means 20 minus 4 shells or Kare shells, which makes 16.
As you can see what Chief said on the screen.
Oh yes, the infamous D-Lo. The infamous.
So this is an example of African words being sort of equations. I can remember our brother Dwayne Omowale Wong talking about how he noticed it in I believe he said the Congolese tradition that they had the same thing. So this is a Yoruba example. Dilogun mean 20 minus. And when you add the appropriate prefix, you get the appropriate equation to get 16, which is the number of shells that people use when dividing in that system. So this is an example of that. But as Baba was saying, you will hear people just say Dilogun. And from an Isheshe perspective, that doesn't, you're not completing the equation. Let's just put it that way.
And even from a language point of view, just the language itself, it doesn't, it's just not correct. Just also a thing to point out that 16 Kare shell divination isn't the only type of seashell divination they have. There's 3 shell divination, there's 4 shell divination, there's 8 shell divination, and I'm not sure, but I think there's a 12, but I'm not absolutely sure. But the 8, the 4, and the 3, there are, and it's not to be equivalated with the kola nut divination. 4 low kola nut divination and 4 Kare shell divination are actually 2 different things.
So, Baba, you'll hear a lot of people say, well, I'm loud. I must be a Omo Shango, or I'm pretty. I must be a Omo Ashun, or I like to be in water. I must be a Omo Yemo Ja. So, and then they'll say things like, I'm an Aries, so I must be Shango, or I'm a Cancer, I must be Ogun. Can you talk about the Zodiac type of perspective, and does it apply in Isheshe?
Well, this is going to be a very short conversation. No, Zodiac has nothing to do with Orisa whatsoever.
You didn't give me nothing, man. I said all that.
You said all that to a very short answer. Nothing.
No.
There's no need to go any further than that. It has nothing to do with it. You're talking about 2 different cultures to begin with. No, has nothing to do with it. Anyone who says otherwise is either lying to you, lying to themselves, or doesn't know any better, or does know better and just trying to equivalate everything under the moon with Orisa, which is also another common practice. We have Reiki that's associated with Orisa with some people. We have aromatherapy. I've seen it all. It's just ridiculous.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now, as far as the attributes are concerned, this personally is it's a pet peeve of mine, because people take it way too far. Often when people say I'm loud, I'm Shango, I was like, do you realize that loud and arrogant is what caused him to leave the earth? Or some sort of say to hang himself from a tree, then they get quiet. These attributes are, at least the negative attributes, are not supposed to be focused on. But sometimes when you get initiated, or even before then, particularly when you are initiated, you're supposed to focus on the better qualities of that Orisa and try to mold it to your necessary personality or who you are. Such as like with Ifa, you have this thing with Iwa Pele, this gentle character or this humble disposition. This was the character of Orunmila himself. So a lot of times when you become a Babalawo or training, you want to try to adapt this. It doesn't mean you're going to all of a sudden become that, but it's used as a to mold your character to better fit you and help you in life. Just like people that are Ogun a lot of times, they're taught to be very direct and forward, and it helps at least they're not really taught to try to scheme people or try to be clever. Typically it should be like a very straightforward, like Ogun is. So these characteristics, particularly the bad ones, should not be focused on at all. Now, that's not to say if you do have characteristics of an Orisha that you are or not that Orisha, or that Orisha is the best for you or not. That's really left up to an oracle. Sometimes it does apply, sometimes it doesn't.
Understood. So let me share another picture. I believe, Ogundiran, this is your favorite. Ogundiran, who is this?
I don't know who that is.
Don't do that. You see who this is.
All right, so Inle is well, first of all, the correct name is Erinle. And he's a hunting divinity within the Yoruba culture. He's also a river divinity. I believe the river is by his same name. I believe it's a tributary of the Osun River, but I'm not sure. I'm hoping my memory is serving me correct. But he's definitely a river divinity, and he's a hunting divinity. But in Cuba, they call him Inle. And if I remember correctly on this, you can't initiate directly into Inle. You actually have to go through Yemonja within the Cuban system to actually, I guess, receive or be initiated to Inle. You have to go through Yemonja. I'm not quite sure why that is. Yeah, but that's basically all I have to say about that. He's a hunting divinity though, and has a very close relationship with Ogun as well. From my understanding, when you receive Irenle, there's actually a small kind of something that comes with him that represents Ogun because of their close relationship.
It's all great and well and good, Baba, but even from the Cuban tradition, can you explain the presentation of this figurine?
Well, I'm assuming. If anyone's out there that's in Regal de Ocha, can help me out here. But I'm assuming.
Well,
you're shaking your head.
No.
And I'm assuming the fish are there because he's a river divinity. I guess that would, and I guess the spear would be there because of spear fishing. I'm assuming that's why it's there. The little that I'm just now noticing, I think the Eleke that is at his feet.
Oh, we know why that's there. They
right.
Everywhere.
Now the golden serpent around him, I'm clueless.
Okay.
I'm baffled. I don't know why the golden serpent is around him.
He's a hunting divinity and a river divinity?
Yes.
So he's both. Okay. Maybe he hunts fish? Maybe?
No, he's known as a regular hunter, like to hunt game. He might fish. Oh. I'm not saying that he doesn't.
Because I wasn't what was in his left hand, that harpoon. Maybe I was thinking, maybe he hunted fish.
If he's using that, he should be hunting some pretty bigger fish than what he's carrying.
What he carrying? Some sharks, some whales, maybe.
Right.
All right.
But yeah, I'm not quite sure, but he is definitely a hunting divinity. And I know he hunts game, and he's also a river divinity.
Okay. Makes sense.
For those that don't understand that some hunting divinities are associated with rivers.
Baba, we have another picture here. Who is this?
Well, in the Brazilian tradition, this is Omolu, which would be equivalent to Obaluaye. But this image is kind of misleading because within the Yoruba culture, from my understanding, Obaluaye, or in Cuba, a lot of times what they call him Saint Lazaro, or sometimes they'll use the term Babaluaye instead of Obaluaye. They're all Yoruba words. Omolu is also another Yoruba word. So it's not like they're, except for Saint Lazarus. But I believe it's either raffia that's on him, is not used within the Isheshe tradition for Obaluaye. I think this more comes from the Dahomey, where you see the raffia and him covered in raffia like that. But it's definitely not from the Isheshe perspective. Other times,
Does West African voodoo have this divinity?
yeah, I believe it's Chapan. No, that's it starts with an
Yeah,
S.
they do have Champagne. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Now the tool that's in his, what's that? The left hand, it's called a shashara. And it's a type of broom. They do have this within the Isheshe. Now the crook, yeah, probably not.
Okay. Okay.
Also, within the Cuban system, what is interesting is normally when you see people get possessed by him in the Cuban system, they tend to crawl around on the floor, act like they're in pain. This is not the same within Isheshe at all. He's like a warrior divinity, actually a very feared warrior divinity. So there doesn't seem to be any type of weakness or ailment associated with him as far as when he gets possessed, but he is associated with smallpox, different types of diseases, and is known for causing them and curing them. But he's definitely a very powerful warrior divinity.
And Baba Iwindara says in Candomblé, they place raffia on Obaluaye as well. So now that we've talked about the Cuban version of Babaluaye, let's introduce people to Obaluaye.
Oh, I believe that's the Elegan. Is that from Oyo?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, you can see the shashara in his left hand. And what's in his right, the name, the Yoruba name eludes me right now, but it's like the lance of Obaluaye. It's what he uses like as a weapon to poke and afflict smallpox. The broom is also a cleaning agent and used to, from my understanding, dispel negative forces, diseases, and stuff like that. But as you can see, he has a coat of charms on. He's very highly associated with medicine. I think there's even Oriki that states that Obaluaye causes all medicine to become impudent, or that doesn't work, or causes it not to work. I guess this has to do something with the healing of smallpox. Various different things didn't work when they were trying to heal it at one time.
You heard that, Shawn? I want you to hear that.
So, but yeah, he's a very powerful warrior divinity. And particularly within this time and last year, a lot of people have been putting a lot of focus on this divinity, particularly since the COVID-19 hit.
Stuff that don't work, man. So, Baba, we will see the term, or people say Yemaya a lot, to describe what we call Yemoja. Can you talk about that difference?
The Yamaya seems to be a corruption of the word Yemonja or Yemonja, but you'll hear the Spanish use, or not the Cuban tradition, and that influence or Spanish people speaking people use Yamaya. Even lately, I've even heard it really mispronounced as Emoja,
Mm.
which is really off the wall.
Whoa. He was doing Kwanzaa?
From Kwanzaa. There's a young man with a video out that's actually kind of relating the Orisa to different zodiac signs, and he does not do a very good job with name pronunciation. Matter of fact, it's almost comical. Matter of fact, it is comical. So, but the name you can either say is Yemonja or Iyemonja, which is broken down into three words, which is Iye, Omo, and Eja, mother, children, and fish. The mother whose children are fish. This is why a lot of times you might see Yemonja depicted with a lower body of a fish. It's not that she is a mermaid, though a lot of this imagery has come up and now has been kind of associated with it and has taken, I guess, a little bit of root and hold in the culture. But originally, I do not think this was the idea. It was more that derived from her name and saying that she's the mother of fish, which her name implies.
Man, I'm glad you said it. Glad you reminded me. Having this talk in various with various people about the mermaids and they're popping up in Yoruba culture, and there are a few theories out there. They're called Omo Eja today, but there's some theories that they got them from European seafarers. There's other theories, that they got them from the Indian imagery. There's other theories that say that they got influenced by other groups within, Africa that draw mermaids, to include, our brothers in Voodoo and, our brothers in the Khoisan amongst the rocks, but or even Dogon with Nomo, but
the old Edo Kingdom you can put in there too, but I don't think that was the purpose of them trying to predict a mermaid. But you know what I'm talking about, the fish-tailed king.
Yes, I do. Apparently, I look like someone named Vince Staples on steroids. I have no idea who Vince Staples is. If somebody could tell me who Vince Staples is, I would. I guess I'll look him up.
On steroids.
I says I look like Vince Staples on a roid binge. Let's see. Let's get back to it. Aganju, the Orisha Aganju. Is there any relation with the Orisha Aganju and volcanoes?
No, at least not any Sheshe. This seems to come from the tradition of Regadio to the Cuban tradition. I don't even think there's any volcanoes in Yoruba land, actually. At least not that I'm aware of, or not that I've heard anyone speak about. So no, he is not associated with the volcano at all. He's another a king of oil that ruled, I believe, after Ajaka, which is sometimes Shango's, the historical figure of Shango's younger brother. I believe he ruled after Ajaka. His name I don't remember, but it has something to do with his face, or the stern look of his face, or something of that nature. I can't remember the exact translation, but he was a Lafine of oil.
So he sounds like another fire divinity.
Something like that, yes.
Okay. And there are a lot of them. So if you hear me say that, people, it's a reason. Oh, I can't wait to put this picture up, because I know that 90% of the people in this chat have have experienced this in some time being on Facebook. And I will read for those that cannot see.
Because it's kind of small for me.
I am from Nigeria. I am a high priest of Ifa, not a low priest, but a high priest. And I am
not a midland priest.
I consult Ifa, and I have a store of traditional materials, and I also buy traditional materials in all countries here. With the massive world expedition in a few weeks and the initiation of Eshu, initiation of Ogun, initiation of Osun, initiation of Obaluaye, initiation of Shawn, initiation of Oya, initiation of Egungun, and other traditional initiation. I also have traditional stores, and I'm not going to read the rest of this, but everybody has probably been through this right here in your box, bothered the hell out of you. You ain't asked for these folks. You ain't say you was interested, but somehow they found you, and showed you my ancestor. Your ancestor told me to tell you, that it's like the old Jesus thing. The God told me to tell you. Hey, get out of my inbox. Who are you? Let me tell you something, people. Do not entertain these people. Just don't do this. I always hit them with Ejiogbe, which talks about they come looking for Babalawo. Babalawo does not come looking for clients. So please let us beware, and those who are doing that should stop. I think it's Wiwa Lawa Babalawo. A good Babalawo is searched for and not advertising himself. So this is actually in the tradition that one shouldn't badger people for clients. But you got anything to add to that, Baba?
I wish they would stop. You are right. I get at least 2 to 3 every month. It's bad.
I don't get any anymore, thankfully. And now that I say that, but I don't get any.
I definitely get 2 to 3 every month. Sometimes from the same people I told to leave me alone. Some people I have to block. I will say one thing: they are persistent.
No, you didn't, Shane. Let me put this in. He talking about he thought they was our folk. No, you didn't. I ain't never got in nobody inbox on this channel and said nothing about y'all can come to me for this, that. I ain't never did that. No, you did not. I don't do that. I don't have to chase nobody for nothing. Shoot.
Yeah, I would highly recommend if someone's coming looking to get clients this way or work this way, to leave it alone. Tell them you're not interested, block them. But if you're going to do so at your own risk. I would definitely, avoid this type of thing, and especially if they come looking for it. You don't know them; they're just inboxing you. Oh, definitely avoid it.
If you want to be placed with a Babalawo or a Babalosa, a Baba Orisa, or in the many titles that we have to denote priesthood, I can get you to someone qualified. You don't have to rely on somebody getting in your inbox. I'm laughing at Niger Valley Civilization. He said, I teach Ishe yoga, $900 per lesson.
You know what that actually reminds me of? The thing we talked about the other day with the rainbow and the chakras.
Oh man. I had a dunce moment. Uh, what does Oshumare's name mean? Rainbow. Oh shit. And for since we're talking about it, no, chakras have nothing to do with Oshumare. The colors that you see on chakras were added in the 1800s and then printed in the 1970s. Traditionally, rainbow colors have nothing to do with the chakra system, or can you find them on the reliefs in India amongst the chakra paraphernalia. So has nothing to do with Oshumare, and it is a new age edition for whatever reason they wanted to use the rainbow. And the person that put it there, for those that have been studying New Age, you can probably guess who it was. It was Madame Blavatsky. So we can move on from that. Baba.
Oh, just one more thing before you move on. Speaking of chakras, since you didn't actually say it, I want to be clear. Chakras have nothing to do with Isheshe at all either. Just not with Oshumare. It's not in the culture. It's not there.
It ain't there. Don't get me started on chakras because then I have to tell people that traditionally in India they didn't balance their chakras either. There's no mention of that. But we'll move on. The word adimu is often used in the diaspora as bloodless offering. But what is adimu in Isheshe?
Adimu Nisheshe is actually a question that they asked during divination, whether this be Ifa divination or whether it be the Herit Logun divination. And it's part of where we ask about Ebo. So Adimu kind of literally means to hold on tightly to or to grasp on too tightly. So it's a question we ask during the process of divination to see whether they're outside of Ebo, is there something or is there another Orisha that we should hold on to tightly outside of the Ebo? I don't want to get too much into as far as the term or where it comes in divination, but it has nothing to do with a bloodless sacrifice. Now, I have heard someone say that it might be related to a phrase that has something to do with eating. I just can't remember that conversation, but I can also say when we do use Adimu and when there's an offering that is made to an Orisha that may come in, if Adimu is mentioned, typically it is not a life force offering. It doesn't mean it can't be, but to get to that point is going to take a whole lot of castings to get there. So it's I don't want to say it's rare, but it's not common. So that might be another way that they kind of got it mixed up. That they thought that it wasn't a bloodless or was a bloodless offering or a non-life force offering. But that's not what it means. It really refers to holding on to some type of divinity when it comes to the divination process when we're asking whether, like in English, is it just Ebo or is there Adimu? I guess is the best way to kind of say that.
Understood. Oh yeah, now we have my favorite. I can't wait to talk to y'all about these pictures. Give me a second. Yes, indeed, because y'all have been killing me with this. This right here. Many of y'all put this accent mark at the end of Ashe. This accent mark right here. Many of y'all do this, and y'all don't know how much y'all piss me off because this accent mark that y'all put here is often looks like an apostrophe, and it's not even a Yoruba tone. You're not saying Ashe, you're saying Ache. You're not saying it. Let me show you what the accent marks look like on Ashe in Yoruba. Oh, y'all be pissing me off with that accent mark. It's a pet peeve of mine.
I think it just comes from the language that they speak, where they put that kind of high tone.
Speak Spanish. we trying to speak Yoruba. So this right here is the accent marks. We have a low tone over the A and 2 dots under the E. That is the accent marks for Ashe in Yoruba culture. That is what it is. And you'll see I got my source right here because I didn't want to just take a picture of it out of Fama's book. But this is the Journal of Religion in Africa out of JSTOR. I have another one just so y'all can say that Panther
while you're pulling up that picture,
crazy. Here's another one. This is out of Oxford. You see again, low tone over the A, dot under the S, dot under the E. Ashe, not a random floating apostrophe at the end of the E. That's not Ashe. So
another thing I would like to point out is the E with the dot underneath it makes an sound. Not an A sound. So a lot of people even say, even without the tonal marks, they'll say Ashe, and it's Ashe.
Ashe.
Right. So while we're on this subject, a lot of people use this word wrong.
Oh, you going there? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm going because it's I'm tired of I'm tired of hearing it. So Ashe, typically when people say it at the end of things, is like saying like let it come to pass, or for those Freemasons out there, so mote it be. So anytime you say this word, it's denoting that whatever a person said or whatever you said to come to pass. So, and it's not just used as a word to agree with or follow after someone's words that you agree with them. So I've heard a lot of people say, you know, she got herself in trouble. She's out there, you know, doing this and that. Ashe. It's like, okay, so you want that action to continue happening. I've seen it in so many ways that it's people don't really get it. Now, if someone says, you know, may he live long, Ashe, that would make sense.
Right.
But if you're trying to say, yeah, my friend got into a car wreck, Ashe, it's like, what?
No.
So for those who are out there, be mindful of how you use this word.
No. And specifically when something you want to come to pass, don't use it like amen in the church, you know, like you can say yes,
right?
Like Benny, you know, like everything I say, say Ashe, like okay, like not in church,
you know. So yeah, it's just something for those that like saying it after everything in normal conversation. Just be mindful that a lot of times, you know, you may be wishing those ill wills of that person or what they're mentioning back on themselves or on you. You know, and it just should not be used that way.
And you see on the screen, I've been on people. So thank you for adjusting your speech and language.
Yes.
This would be
while we're on that one, I don't know if this was one of the words. We can always talk about Alafia.
Ew, you gonna do this?
That one's gonna be. Yeah. So for those that just greet people with Alafia, you need to realize if someone came up to you and just said health, this is what you're basically saying to them. You just got off. So I know this is going to be hard for a lot of people because I know a lot of people out there greet each other with just Alafia and they use it kind of like peace. But the word doesn't mean peace. It means health or implying good health. So if you were going to say She Alafiani, this would make more sense than just walking up to someone and saying Alafia, because it would be walking up to someone in English and basically saying health. Yeah. I just wanted to throw that because that's another word I hear all the time that is not really used correctly.
We're gonna tell them Alafia is not Yoruba. Whoops.
Oh,
Maybe next time.
the word Alafi is derived from an Arabic word, but it's been assimilated in their culture that it's now become part of their language. But yes, there are its roots lie in Arabic.
Right. And for people who are wondering why, I refer you to the Arab slave trade. You don't hang around people for 1,300 years and not pick up anything. So now we have Alafia. It's not the only word either. We have Adora. We have other words that came from the Arabic. Oh man, look at this. Hold on, let me put this on the screen because people will bring this up. Banga Alafia.
Oh boy.
I said.
Anyone who's ever done any type of African dance will probably have heard that song.
It don't make no sense.
It
It's
don't make
actually
any
not
sense.
all. It's not even all Yoruba. Fungi is not a Yoruba word. They just kind of mixed it. That's for another time. But
Sounds good.
sounds great. So it is what it is. Yeah, man. Thank you all for coming out. Do we have any questions? We got about 10 minutes. Do we have any questions in the chat? This is the question hour. I may need to start a shrine soon to educate the uneducated. I got plenty of shrines, but if you're talking about in the shrine in the way that some other brothers in the community have, we are creating what is called an egbe, or society for Ogun worshipers. So if you are interested in that, contact myself or contact Brother Ogundiran, and let's see what we can do. But yeah, that's what my focus is as far as things in that direction. Some of y'all are crazy. So y'all telling me Umar Johnson been saying this Ashe incorrect. It's a lot of things he says incorrectly and does, but that's whatever. Do I have to pay $4,500? No, you do not. No, you do not. But if you want to give me $4,500, but briefly, Ogundiran does give classes out. No, they're not $4,500. But if you want to take classes, he does teach classes on certain divinities. Now, initiation is a different thing. But that's something different. If you want to get to that point, you do not have to get initiated to anything. Don't let people tell you that it's like that without explanation. But if you want to take classes, you can take classes from Baba Ogundiran. How do I get one of those dope West African names? How much do they cost? A name should not cost you anything.
The ceremony should, but not the name.
Ceremony. The ceremony.
Just to make that clear.
And that depends upon who would be doing it. Shouldn't be that much. How much would you for a naming ceremony for one person?
For one person, actually, I'm not sure. I mean, it's not a hard ceremony, but there's a lot that goes with it, as far as items. But it's not a extremely difficult ceremony. I don't know personally. See, I've never really done one by itself. I've always done one in conjunction of something else.
One person.
Well, no. What I mean, like, if someone gets accepted to the shrine, then giving them a name to go with that. But the actual naming ceremony, I don't know.
I'm up.
It wouldn't be at least for me. It wouldn't be more than I guess like 150, 200.
You got an answer. There we go.
Yeah.
Moving on. How does one know when they are ready for initiation into an African traditional system? I would say after you've been trained in some preliminary areas before initiation. I know a lot of people get initiated and then go to the training, but it's actually supposed to go opposite. We just start out behind here in America most times. But I would say after you've learned some fundamentals within the system that you want to be a part of.
Speaking about also of initiation, initiation does not mean you become a priest. I just want to put that out there because there's a lot of people that think that, especially right after they get initiated, I'm a priest of this Odisha. The purpose of initiation is not to become a priest of any divinity. That's not the purpose of initiation. The purpose of initiation is actually the improvement of one's life.
Yep.
So one would actually be, if one's looking for initiation, it should be for those lines. Now, if you want to become a priest after one is initiation, that involves much further training, um, time, energy, money spent. It's not something that immediately happens when you get initiated, and it takes years. There's a lot of training, and depending on what you want to do and the Orisha, it might be longer than others. If you wanted to get into any type of divination, like Ifa divination, 16 Kari shell divination, you're going to be spending a lot of time. These are not easy things to learn. It takes a lot of discipline. Even with any Orisha, just to become a priest, there's a lot of time and a lot of long hours and a lot of memorization that you have to really. It's going to have to be something you want, and something that you are dedicated to becoming. Because if you don't, at least in the Sheshe, it's a hard road. It's not easy, and there's a lot of things you end up learning that you never thought you would ever learn when you want to become a priest because you never thought about it. You never really think about learning how to butcher animals like chickens, cut them up for cooking. You never talk about learning anatomy for a bird. There's just so many things that you just do not think about when doing this, and it sometimes it's very overwhelming. But that's not trying to stir anyone away from not. If one chooses to be a priest or one wants to become a priest, that's up to that individual. Sometimes it is recommended within divination that the person become a priest. It's still your choice. It's not like you have to do it, though there might be the reason why you want to might be a little I'm not sure whether the word is repercussion, but definitely it is your choice whether you are told to become a priest or not to become a priest. It's still your choice.
Understood.
Something else I do want to bring up, referring to Regal de Ocho. So in Regal de Ocho, when it comes to initiation, they tend to separate Orumila, or what they call Orula, from all other Orisha. And how this works is if you get initiated to an Orisha other than Orula first, you can get initiated to one more divinity, but it has to be Orula or Orumila. If you get initiated to Orula first, you can't get initiated to any other divinity. This is not the case in Isheshe. You can get initiated to as many divinities as you like, and as many divinities that will accept you. As me and or we already know of one person who's initiated to 6 divinities, and that's a lot of divinities.
That's I'm not doing it. So Brother Sutek says, do I have to cut my 13-year-old? You see how he puts that in there to try to gain sympathy. My 13-year-old locks to be initiated. Go ahead.
I'm going to say this. Just plan on doing it.
And I know why you said that. There are divinities where you don't, but the chances of you getting one of those divinities is very slim. And I mean slim. So I agree with Ogundiran. If that's something you want to do, yeah, just plan on it. I'll say this: when I met Ogundiran, he had locks.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
They are now gone.
Quite long too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I won't like. There are some depending on divinity. There's sometimes it might come up in divination that you don't have to, but they will still cut a portion of your hair depending on the Orisa. They might have a little bald spot on top of your head, particularly if it's one of the Orisa that is the Idosu, where you actually receive the Osu. Now, there is a growing trend within the United States that I've seen, and I just want to put this out there. For those who do it, that's up to them. I'm not going to. So there is this idea of, okay, can you ask the Orisa if my hair needs to be cut? Or I'm going to ask the Orisa, this is referring to the priest, if my hair, can this person keep their hair? I don't particularly believe in this. Now, there are some occasions where this might be valid. So, especially when it has to do with one's deployment. So, let's say, since we're speaking about locks, if this guy was a reggae star, that his look and his locks were a part of his the way he makes his money, then yes, I would ask. I wouldn't assume that it would be, yes, you can keep it. I would ask. But it had to be under these kind of circumstances because going into initiation shouldn't be coming back that now you can't make money. It would actually be the backwards in initiation. But for the most part, the cutting of one's hair has a part to do with the initiation process and does have meaning behind it. So for anyone that is trying to get in the tradition, I would just say it's going to be a sacrifice. And I know how some people are with locks. I had locks myself, though I cut them off for a different reason. I can understand how growing your hair long and then having all the work that was put in time, and then now I got to get rid of them. Well, you really got to ask yourself, do you really want to get initiated to Orisa then? If you're not willing to put forth that sacrifice, because what you're really being prepared for is initiation is like it's like a wedding. You're getting married to the divinity. So this is one of the ways they prepare you. So if you don't want to take that sacrifice, then I have to question: do you really want to be initiated? And like I said, initiation is not mandatory. You can receive Orisa, a vessel or an icon of Orisa, and not have anything to do with initiation, and still be able to communicate and work with the divinity. So for those who are out there, don't think that you have to become initiated to be able to have an Orisa or be able to cast kola nuts. But there are a lot of things that you won't be able to do that initiation gives you the right to do as well. So, but I just want to put it out there that it shouldn't be. You shouldn't. Being initiation does not mean you cannot work or receive any type of divinity.
Right. All right. Well, thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for listening. Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. I'm your brother Blak Pantha, as always. Baba Ogundiran, you got something to say before we close out?
Nope. Just look forward to our next interview. Interested to see what our topics are going to be next time around.
Yeah, I got to check our list. But let's go ahead and shut it down. Thank you all for coming out, and greet you in the word of Yoruba for goodbye. Odabo.
Odabo.